How do you know if a guy wants to be in a relationship with you? There are some very clear signs, some obvious clear signs that a guy will show you that he's actually interested in something real. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hello, my name is Matthew Coast, and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about, the signs that a guy really wants a relationship with you. So sign number one is going to be that he prioritizes your time, right? So when a man values you, he shows up. There's no games, there's no excuses. He's clear about his communication. So if he's unable to be there or something comes up, he'll talk to you about it. He'll want to reschedule with you. If something that is an emergency or something big does come up, he'll want to um, make sure that he makes it up to you because he cares. He likes you, he cares about you, he cares what you think, and he doesn't want to waste your time because he respects you and he respects your time and he respects what's going on with you. Does that make sense? If you're with us right now in the chat, go ahead and say hi and tell us where in the world you're watching this from. It's great to see women from all over the world watching these live streams. So number two is that he listens to you, right? He's going to remember little things about what you said. And I don't want to create unrealistic expectations here, okay? He might not remember everything that you said, but what you say is important to him. And because it's important to him, he'll remember a lot of little things and different stuff that you say to him because you are important to him. And so what you say becomes important to him. Again, like I said, that doesn't mean he's going to remember every little thing that you say, but he actually cares. And so he's going to try to remember some of these things. Number three is he makes future plans with you. If he's talking about next month or next year or next holiday or something like that, it means that he's thinking long term, right? So one of the things, because this can confuse a lot of women, it doesn't necessarily mean just because he's talking about long term things. Any one of these signs individually doesn't necessarily mean that he's looking for a relationship. But the more signs that you see here, the more that it shows that he values you, he thinks about you long term, he's thinking about being with you, and he wants something real with you. And so you want to look for a guy that does make future plans with you, right? So the opposite is him not making future plans, which is a big red flag because it shows that he's not thinking about things in the future. But you don't want to be tricked just by this one thing. Sometimes, a lot of times, women I talk to will get tricked. He's like, oh, well, but he said he wanted something in the future. And it's like, yeah, that's one sign of a bunch. And the more that you have, the better. But it's not the only thing. It's not the only thing that matters. So number four is that he's consistent, which is as important as him saying the right thing. Because before we were talking about, like, yeah, he's saying the right thing. He's listening to you. He's prioritizing you. But is he following up? Is he consistently showing up? Because sometimes what happens, and I'm not saying that this has happened with you before, but maybe it has. Who knows? I don't know. But with some people, what happens is they get excited, right? And maybe you've been excited about a guy before, and then at some point you lost interest in him. And that can happen. And that's why you're looking for consistency. That's why you shouldn't be hooking up with guys on the first couple of dates. That's why you should make a guy show you over time that he's actually interested in you, because it's the consistency, the words and the actions in alignment consistently over time that show you that he's actually serious about you and that it's not just a short-term fling or any of that kind of stuff. And so his words match his actions and he doesn't leave you guessing. Does that make sense? Do you get what I'm talking about here? If you get what I'm talking about, say I get it in the chat. If you don't get what I'm talking about, go ahead and ask any questions. I will answer questions here at the end. So go ahead and ask me any questions. What questions you got? What questions do you have out there, right? What other signs have you seen? All right, so let's move on. So number 5 is he introduces you to his inner circle. And so this is friends, family, coworkers, right? The opposite of this is that he hides you and he pretends like you guys aren't together. He doesn't tell other people about it, that kind of a thing. You don't want to be a guy's dirty little secret. You want to be you want him to show you off, right? And you want him to be comfortable going to your friends and being in your inner circle with your friends and family and whoever else is important to him, to you want him to do that with you as well, right? And so it's important. It shows that he's proud to have you in his life. It shows that he can see you as somebody that he could potentially be with long term. Again, any one of these things doesn't mean anything. If he shows you to his friends and family, but he's not consistent, he's not making plans with you, he's not prioritizing you, then that's it. That doesn't show you it, right? You want all of these things together to show you it. Number 6 is he supports your goals and dreams, right? And this is really about him respecting you, him valuing you, him seeing you and thinking of you as a really awesome person that he likes and he wants to have in his life, right? And a man who wants a relationship with you will want to see you win. He'll want to see you be successful in whatever it is that you're doing. He'll want to cheer you on. He'll want you to feel good and to win. And because you're a team, you're there together with each other going through this. And so he'll want you to do well in whatever it is that you're doing. Number 7 is he's emotionally available, right? And this is a difficult one because there's a lot of people that aren't emotionally available. In fact, I would say, if I was just to guess, right? This is a guesstimation right here. This isn't I haven't done research on this, but if I was to guess, I would say that probably somewhere between 70 and 80% of the people in the dating market are emotionally unavailable, right? They've been hurt in the past. They have lots of emotional trauma that they're dealing with. They might get excited and might get happy, but at some point they kind of disappear and maybe they show back up because they're trying to get their needs met and they want this, but they don't want it more than they want to be comfortable and to prevent themselves from growing, because it's painful to deal with your issues, right? It's painful to grow and to say, you know what, the past isn't going to dictate who I'm going to be in the future. And so a lot of people don't do that. They don't grow. They don't figure all those things out, which a lot of times is the cause for the hot and cold behavior. A lot of times hot and cold behavior, it's not because they're trying to manipulate you or trick you or play games with you. It's because they're fighting an internal battle inside of their mind and their heart that is preventing them from moving forward with things, because their heart wants to move forward, but their mind has been hurt. And so their mind gets caught up in the what if, and, is this the right person? And maybe they're tricking me and all this stuff, right? And maybe that's happened to you before as well. And that ends up creating this hot and cold cycle that ends up happening, where they're hot and they're cold and they're hot and they're cold, right? And hot is like, he's on, he's interested and he's doing all these things. And then cold is he disappears. He doesn't want anything to do with you, any of that kind of stuff, right? And a lot of times that happens because of that. And so a guy that wants to have a real relationship with you, even if he has some of those things going on, he'll work through them, and he'll try to get through them. He won't make excuses for them. He won't try to, look back at it and be like, well, it's because of that, and there's nothing I can do and you just have to accept it, right? Instead, he'd be like, yeah, it sucks and I'm working through it and I'm getting through it and I apologize about that. Like, let's move forward. And then if you find somebody that's secure, it'll be a healthier situation, right? A lot of times people get caught up in these unhealthy situations and they do it because it's more interesting, right? Hot and cold is more interesting than healthy. It's just emotionally, it's easier to get caught up, right? A lot of people that get caught up in toxic situations over and over and over again, they see healthy as boring, right? They see healthy as, there's no chemistry here. They see healthy as like that they don't want to be a part of that. And if you're in that situation, you need to flip the script and you need to start seeing this hot and cold whirlwind thing as being boring. And instead, you want to start looking at stability and peace and love and connection and somebody having your back. You want to start seeing that as being exciting and fun and interesting, right? Flip the script in your own mind and it'll be a lot more powerful and better for you. Number 8 is that he respects your boundaries, right? He's not constantly trying to push you or pressure you. He honors what makes you, and he values you, and he values what's going on with you, and that's a very it's a very important thing. Number 9 is that he communicates very clearly. So a guy that's serious about you and that really wants to be with you, he doesn't want you to feel confused. He wants you to feel certain. He wants you to feel secure. He wants you to know that he's going to be there for you, right? He's upfront about what it is that you want, what he wants, right? So it's like one of those things. A lot of women I talk to, they're scared of telling a guy what they want, right? They're scared of being like, hey, I want a relationship. I'm looking for a relationship, because they're scared that the guy's going to run off, and the guy might run off, right? And if he does, he's doing you a favor, because you're looking for a guy who's real and wants to have something real with you. And if a guy wants to run off, great, let him run off and you go find somebody that's better. Stop chasing chemistry. Stop chasing momentary excitement. Stop chasing lust. And instead, start chasing clarity. Start chasing like somebody that's bringing you security and peace and love and transparency, honesty, right? These are the things that you should be focusing on and finding in a partner, not, guys that are just creating this momentary fun and excitement and then disappearing on you. Number 10 is that he makes you feel secure, which is what I've been talking about with all this, right? It's like when a man wants you, he's going to make it clear, not only with his words, he's going to make it clear with his words, he's going to make it clear with his actions, and he's going to be consistent about it over time. So these are the 10 different things. I'll go back over them. He prioritizes your time. He listens to you. He makes future plans with you. He's consistent. He introduces you to his inner circle. He supports your goals and dreams. He's emotionally available. He respects your boundaries. He communicates clearly, and he wants you to feel secure. So is the guy that you're currently seeing doing these things? And have you seen other signs? Like, let me know in the chat. Like, how many of these signs have you seen? What are some other signs that you might be looking for? What are some discrepancies between what your guy's doing and what we're talking about here? Let me know in the chat. And also let me know if you have any questions or anything that's going on like that, and I will go ahead and get to them. So let's see. Javed said, agreed. Teresa says, hi, cousin. I'm your older brother, not your cousin. Hello. People say, I get it. Also, tell us hi. Tell us hi. Tell us where in the world you're watching from. I want to see where you're watching from. We got Spain in the house. I'm in Germany right now. That's cool. Love won't let past affect me. There you go. Don't let the past control your future. Constance says, yes, stability, peace, love. Why is it that a man never talk about this? Some men talk about it a lot, right? But the question is, what men are you dating or getting into relationships with? And what are they talking about? Are they talking about stability, peace, and love, right? Because if they aren't, then why are you with them? Constance? Why are you dating guys that aren't talking about these things? What are you dating? Who are you dating and what are they talking about, Constance? I want to know, right? Because what he's talking about is an indication of what's going on in his mind and his heart. And so if he's talking about other things, if he's creating a different kind of an environment for you, why are you getting sucked into that environment instead of getting sucked into a healthy and powerful environment? That's what you should be asking yourself. Will you post these 10 signs? Sure, I'll post the 10 signs. 10 signs. Yeah. England's in the house. Rare Wild Rose is from England. Thanks for being here. Cool deal, older brother. There you go. There you go, older brother. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Got me live. Got me live. All right. Mr. Wealth loves me. Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Wealth. Brenda says, I have a question. When your boyfriend says he loves you forever, but you never met each other yet, what does that really mean? It means that either one, he's a scammer, right? Which is usually what the case is in situations where somebody's telling you that they love you, but they've never met you. Most of the time, that person is actually a scammer and they're just getting you emotionally wrapped up in what it is that they're saying so that at some point they can end up taking money from you for, gift cards or whatever in order to fund themselves, right? So if you haven't met a person, don't take them seriously. I wouldn't, if I were you. So Brenda, one of the things that I look at whenever I talk to somebody or read what they're talking about is what kind of language do they use to describe the men that they're dating or, whatever, right? And so what you're talking about is boyfriend in terms of a guy that you've never met, which means to me that you don't actually know this person. You don't know anything about them. They might not be real. They could be real, but maybe they're not the person they say they are. There could be a whole bunch of different things. And what it's telling me about you is that you've committed to this person without even actually meeting them yet, which is a bad way to go. It's a really bad way to go because I've been doing this for, I've been working with women for, I think it's been 11, 12 years now. And I've been working with men even longer than that. And what I found is that when when a lot of people meet online or they talk, through dating apps or whatever, and then they actually meet in person, it's like a totally different experience in person. And that person might not be the same way that they are over online chat, right? Or video or, just talking to them online. And so you don't want to commit to somebody before meeting them. In fact, if I were you, I wouldn't even take anybody seriously that you haven't met in person because there could be a million different things going on with them. And right now, the romance scamming industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And it's never been, they've never had better tools at their disposal to do this. They can fake what they look like. They're starting to be able to fake what they look like over video. They can fake what their voice sounds like. They can fake what they say. It could be some guy that doesn't even speak English, and he can put this information into ChatGPT and AI, and it'll spit out everything in English, and then he can take that and he can put it into an AI voice generator, and that AI voice generator will sound like a normal person that speaks English. And they don't speak English. They aren't a real, they aren't actually who they say they are. And so you don't want to do this. This whole thing where people are becoming boyfriend, girlfriend, falling in love, where they haven't even met the person it's a losing situation. So my suggestion is that you date people in real life, that you don't talk to somebody that you haven't met in person for more than 2 weeks, right? So if you're talking to them and it's been 2 weeks and they haven't actively made an effort to meet up with you, my suggestion is that you cut them off completely and you say, hey, if you want to meet up in person, I'm willing to do that. But until we meet up in person, I'm really, really busy, but I'll make time for you. Right. And that's what you want to do, Brenda, because you don't want to end up being a part of a romance scam which is multi-billion dollars. You know, I've met so many women that have been a part of that, and it's horrible. Doop de doop de doop. Mr. Wealth says, still looking for someone I can plan a future with, and we will be together forever and ever. Awesome. Good to hear it, Mr. Wealth. Brenda's following up here. We met online. We do video chat every day. We've been going with each other for 8 months online, but still never meet. Yeah, don't take them seriously. Don't take them seriously, Brenda. Brenda, don't take them seriously. This other Brenda. There's a second Brenda who says, I get it. All right, lots of people getting it. Let's see. Human says that percentage might be higher. Yeah, we're talking about the how many people are like emotionally traumatized and you know, like in the dating world. Irma says, strong, godly men will treat you right. Thanks, Matt. Happy New Year. Well, Happy New Year's to you as well. Lots of people. Hello, hello, hello. Arizona here. Hey, from England. Hey. Polish girl watching from London. Lots of people from London. I'm in Germany right now. Let's see. Texas. All right. Anybody have any questions about what's going on with them? Human says, bottom line, character over chemistry. That's what I'm talking about, Human. Character over chemistry. That's what you should be looking for. That's why I have a requirement of talking over the phone. That's a great plan, is to talk over the phone. If you want to have better dates, this is for everybody right now. If you want to have a better date, do a phone call first. You'll have a better date if you do a phone call. The person's more likely to show up. You're more likely to know what they're like. You know, you're more likely to decide that you don't want to actually meet up with them because they're probably going to be similar in person as they are over the phone, right? And so doing phone calls first is a great thing to do. Michelle says it's crazy these days. It's true, it is kind of crazy out there. Mary says, we've been dating 2 months. He brought up wanting to be exclusive, so we are now using the boyfriend-girlfriend terms. Cool. I'm really crazy about him, and we spent the holidays together and are meeting each other's family and friends. All seems to be going great, but I want to ask him where he sees this going, but I feel it could be a little bit too soon. However, I've been hurt before and feel as if I'm falling hard and need just a little bit more verbal assurance. Similarly, I don't want to sound too needy. Yeah, Mary, so that's a great question. So what Mary's talking about here is that they've been seeing each other for 2 months, right? They are now in an exclusive relationship, right? And so she's like, okay, so you know, how can I talk to him about where this is going and what's going to happen next, right? And so my suggestion is that you just bring up the conversation. You can talk to him about the future, right? Like, because right now what you're asking is like, well, what about me, right? What's happening with me? Where's this going with me? And it might be a little bit too early for him to know that for you, right? So if you look at a timeline of how relationships work, you know, the first kind of like, you know, month is this kind of like we're just kind of dating and trying to figure out if we actually like each other and want to continue dating. And most people who go on dates in that first month end up not continuing to date past a month, right? So then there's this 1 month to about 3 month time frame, which is when most people they end up in a committed, some kind of exclusive or committed relationship happens in the 1 to 3 month range, which is where Mary's at right now, right? So Mary, you're in the 1 to 3 month range, and you're perfectly on time, right, for getting into a committed exclusive relationship, right? That's you're on track, right? And so after 3 months, right, there's this other period of time where you're kind of like you're in this relationship and you're trying to gauge whether this person is like really who you want to be long term with. In your case, it's going to be 2 months to, somewhere between 6 months and a year, right? And um, around the 6 to 8 month mark is when guys unanimously, they've done a bunch of studies on this, and they found that guys unanimously, like it's around 99% of men, know what kind of relationship they ultimately want to have with you at that point, right? So he might not be totally sure right now, but there's some other conversations that you might want to have with him, like, not necessarily talking about with you, but is marriage something that you're interested in? What do you think of people getting married? What do you think about the institution of marriage, right? Because a lot of people don't want to get married at all, right? Men and women. And so these are conversations that you want to have. You want to talk about, religion, what his religious faith is, what he thinks about religion, all that kind of stuff. You want to talk about kids if you're in the, still in, some women are and some women aren't, still in the kind of baby making kind of phase of their life, right? And so that's something that you want to talk about. And some guys, one of the big things that I get a lot of is women that are dating guys who are younger than them coming over here. And so if you're dating a guy who's younger than you, like let's say that you're 40 years old and you're dating a guy that's younger than you want to have that conversation about babies and whether that's something that he's interested in, and that whether that's something on the table for him, because it could be an issue later on down the line, right? There are ways to get around that, right? There's a whole bunch of different ways to get around that, even if you're at the point where you can no longer have kids anymore, right? You can still have that conversation. And there's other things that you can do. There's, adoption. There's, if you froze some of your eggs, there's potentials around that. There's, a whole bunch of different things that you could do around kids, even if you're, I'm not saying that for you, man, Mary. I'm not sure what your situation is, but these are the kinds of conversations you want to have. You just talk to them about it, right? So and you're not making it about me, right? You're not making it about Mary and are you marrying me and do you want to have kids with me and all this stuff. You're asking him about these topics. You're having conversations about these different topics so that you can have a better understanding about where he's at and what he wants and whether what the two of you want are in alignment or not, right? And once you get up to that 6 to 8 month mark, right, then you can start looking at it more as, what about me? How do you feel about this in terms of being with me? Do you want it with me? Right? Because at that point, he'll be certain about it. And he'll either want to talk to you about it or not. And if he doesn't want to talk to you about it, it's because he doesn't want it with you. Right? But you're a little bit early on that. Right? Most guys, especially if you were the one that was like bringing up exclusivity and stuff, he might still be a little bit hesitant about it and unsure of it. And if you're trying to push that on him too early, what ends up happening is that guys can freak out, right? And feel like, oh, this is way too much too soon. She's, way more like most people, men and women, they want somebody who is kind of on the same page of attraction and what they want at the same time, right? And so that's a conversation you can have. There's other conversations that you can have as well that might not be as direct as what I'm talking about, right? Which would be around your feelings, right? Because right now you're feeling a fear, right? You're feeling afraid, right? Which is why you're wanting these things, right? Why you're bringing these up is because you're coming from a place of uncertainty right now. And because you're coming from a place of uncertainty, you're looking for more stability and certainty and different things like that from him. And so you can bring up these feelings of fear and sadness or being scared or whatever it is that you're feeling, and then talk to him about that, right? And just be real and vulnerable and honest with him. And just, the best way to do it is talk about how you're feeling and then talking about what it is that you want, right? And just having a conversation about that. And a lot of times that can help you a lot in feeling more stable and certain and all that kind of stuff in yourself. So does that make sense, Mary? And if I'm putting a ticker at the bottom here. If anybody's interested in having us, having us help you, you can go to matthewcoast.com. You can talk to my team for free, and we can talk about helping you in your situation. A lot of times they'll give you a lot of really great advice about what you need to do moving forward. And if you're interested in doing coaching, that's the place to talk to them about it as well. So, okay. So Irma says, amen. Don't commit until you meet them and get to know them. We are living in the last days, dangerous times. Jesus is coming soon. Stay safe and alert. It's fun. All right. Reminds me of the movie The Beekeeper, online scammer. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. The Beekeeper movie. Yeah, that's funny. I actually watched that not too long ago, I think. Tony says actions speak louder than words. Well, Tony, I'm gonna have to bring you some bad news here. It's that actions don't always speak louder than words. Sometimes words speak louder than actions. And let me tell you when. It's when a guy says that he doesn't want something real with you, but he treats you like you're in a relationship. If a guy, his actions are treating you like you're in a relationship, but his words are saying that he doesn't want one, listen to the words because they're speaking louder than the actions are. And so that, most of the time actions do speak louder than words. But in this case, what you want is words and actions to speak the same language and to be in alignment. And if one of the two of those is out of alignment, then you want to believe whatever one is worse, right? Whatever one is the most bad, that's the one that you want to listen to. Does that make sense there, Tony? Okay. You'll know for sure when a guy wants a relationship. Well, not always. Sometimes guys kind of hold back because they've had bad experiences with women in the past where they've wanted relationships. A lot of times guys want relationships sooner than women. And so what they find out is if you're a guy and you've been into a woman and you were like super into it and you tried to like get into a relationship with her and she didn't want to be in a relationship with you, one thing that you learned is that you need to stop doing that, right? And if you go over to the men's dating side and you talk to the men's dating coaches over there, they'll tell you, don't try to tell a woman that you want to be in a relationship with her before she's ready, right? Because if you tell a woman that you want to be in a relationship with her before she's ready, she might not feel that way about you yet, and she might decide that she doesn't want this, right? And then you're in a situation where you're, trying to convince her or whatever, and it's just a bad situation. Usually women in those situations leave guys, right? And it's just bad. So you want to, some guys will hide it because they know that if they're too eager too soon, it's actually will be bad for them. So I hope that makes sense to you. Bella's just joining. Well, hey to you, Bella. Thanks for joining us. Irma says, I prefer talking over the phone and meeting in person in public. That's the way to do it. It's a way to do it, Irma. Marikar says, very informative, and I will keep it on my mind. All right. So Christy says, how long do you suggest waiting to date after a divorce? Been married 32 years and really nervous about dating. No such thing as an app last time on the dating scene. Yeah, it's a different world out here, Christy. Welcome to the new world of dating, Christy. It's a crazy madhouse out here. So there's general advice about that, but it's really about you, right? Because a lot of times, so it depends on when you're ready, right? And you're the only person that can say that, right? They have like certain number of months per year you were married or something, or maybe it's years per month you're married. Anyway, it doesn't matter. None of all that stuff out there that says all that, it's nonsense. Don't listen to any of it. Instead, what you want to do is start feeling where you're at, right? Are you open to something new? And sometimes you won't even know until you start dating and you go out there and date, and then you're like, you know what, I don't think I'm ready yet, right? Or you go out there and date and you're like, yeah, you know what, I am ready. Like, let's see what's going on out here, right? And so it kind of depends on, if you've done healing, if you were the one to break up with your husband or he was the one to break up with you. It depends on, sometimes people gave up on their marriages like long before they got divorced. And a lot of times, if you knew it was over years beforehand, you might have done all the processing, emotional processing and healing that you needed to do before you ended up getting divorced. And so now you're divorced and you're ready to go out there and do it. So it really depends on you and what your situation is, Christy. And so I would just ask, how are you feeling about it? What you might want to start doing before you just jump into the pool and start dating is to just start making friends. Just start making guy friends, just go out there to make friends. And a lot of times that's an easier kind of entry point into dating than just jumping into the pool on the deep end because the deep end's got a lot of crazy stuff going on. So you might just want to go out there just to start making friends and focus on friends first, which is honestly a better way to date than going in and trying to, like, do all the crazy dating stuff that people are doing in games and manipulation, all that kind of stuff. And if you need help, I suggest you check out MatthewCoast.com. You can talk to my team. We can talk about helping you out. So Miriam says, do you think you can turn a situation that lasted 3 years into a relationship? Can you really make a man change his mind? Yes, I've seen men change their mind multiple times before. Yeah, absolutely, it can happen, right? Here's the thing though, Miriam, is that the longer you go while staying in a certain type of a situation, the more that situation gets solidified, right? So it's something that's called a precedent, right? So the longer a precedent has been in place, right? And so in this case, it's a situationship. So the more difficult it is to get out of it. And so you want to do it sooner rather than later. You want to do whatever it is that you're going to do. I have a program, it's called the Devotion Switch, and it's all about how to have that conversation and how to position yourself in the right way. Also, if you want to go talk to my team, you can, MatthewCoast.com. We can definitely help you out. But yeah, I've absolutely seen this happen. You can turn the situation around in a week, right? And it's better to find out sooner if you can turn it around or not than later, because if you do it sooner, then you're going to know the answer. Whereas if you wait a long time, you're just prolonging the inevitable. You've been together for 3 years. This guy, you know, so yeah, absolutely. The answer is yes, you can. Okay, so Lisa says, I've been with a sweet man for 3 years now. He's a widower, and we haven't said that we love each other yet, but I believe we show it to each other equally. I try to give him time and show patience. Is saying that you love each other verbally necessary? Well, that's not for me to talk about. That's for you to talk about, Lisa. Are you the kind of person where it's important for you to hear that he loves you, right? And if the answer is yes to that, then you want it to start happening, right? And one of the easiest ways to do this. So Lisa, let me give you an easy way. This is a brilliant thing. I've done this with I've had a lot of women do this, and it works in every single one of their situations. This is practically 100% guaranteed rate on figuring out what's going on with this guy and if he loves you, and to start getting that conversation going without looking desperate or needy or try hard or any of that kind of stuff, right? And here's what you do. What you do is you start accusing him of being in love with you, right? That's the easiest way to do it, right? So he does something, you're like, oh, I can just tell you're just so in love with me, right? That kind of a thing where you're accusing him, right? Because what most people do, And the most advice that you'll get out there is they'll be like, "Yo, just go on and say, I'm starting to have feelings for you," or, I love you. Do you love me too?" Right? And you don't want to do that because it feels really risky and vulnerable, and then it can create a weird environment. Whereas if you're accusing him, where you're like, "Yeah, I don't know, you did this and you did that, and you really seem like you're just, I mean, I can tell you have those in love feelings. Not, I can just see it, and I'm just wondering like when you're gonna say it to me. You should probably say it. I mean, at some point you're gonna say it, right? And you can just bring up a conversation about it, and then it's like you're having a conversation about why he hasn't said that he loves you yet, as opposed to you saying it or trying to force him to say it or anything like that. And you're just like, yeah, I don't. I notice that you do all these loving things. You treat me like you love me. I'm just wondering why you haven't said it yet, right? And he might be like, "Oh, well, why haven't you said it?" And you're just like, "Oh, well, I'm definitely feeling them. I'm just waiting, to see if you're feeling them as well, right?" And then you can have a conversation about that, and it's like, "Oh, okay, well, well, I'm feeling them too. Well, then why don't we just say them? Are you okay with saying them, right?" And it becomes a conversation that's not that big of a deal, and it's not coming from a desperate, low value, needy place. It's coming from, I'm high value. I noticed that you act like you love me. And, I'm just trying to figure out why you haven't said that you love me yet. Right. And then you can talk about it. And it's like, yeah, okay, we both love each other. We can both say we love each other to each other. And it's not that big of a deal. And it feels really good. And, that whole conversation is taken care of. And now you guys are talking about how you love each other. And then you can say it freely whenever you want, and it's not a big deal anymore because you both have said it. I mean, you guys have been dating each other for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, you can say that you love each other at this point. It's not that big of a deal. Michelle says, "True." Yeah, true. I believe it's true too. I don't know that those squiggly lines. I'm guessing that's a name. Says how to get rid of marriage proposals. um, you know, that's a great question. Are you trying to one of my questions is, are you dating guys and this is when it's coming up, or are they just randomly showing up and trying to get married, doing marriage proposals? Like, what does this look like? Name that I don't even know what that is. Um, Let us know more about this and we can talk about it. So Human says, "I think people with different personalities yet share the same core values can make great couples." Absolutely. They make the best couples because there's variety there, right? She says, "Sometimes people dismiss a potential relationship because of different personalities." Yeah, it's not like you don't need your personalities to be like, you hit the nail on the head here, Human. You don't need your personalities to be the same. You need your values to be the same, and having differences in personality creates more fun and excitement in the relationship, and that's actually a more ideal thing than having the same personalities. Mary says, "We are both older and divorced, so kids not an issue, but yes, I want to get married again, and no, he's looking for at least a long-term partner." Yeah, exactly. So you should just have these conversations, Mary. And just don't make them about you, right? Don't make it about you and whether he wants that with you or not, right? Talk about it in general terms. Talk about, marriage in general terms, and be like, "Oh yeah, like I ran into my friend the other day," right? You can just come up with a story, right? "I ran into my friend the other day," or "I was looking at my friend's posts on Facebook the other day, and I saw that, so and so had just gotten married, you know." It was kind of sweet. Like, what do you think about getting married? Do you think that's something that you want to do one day? You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like, "Hey, like, are you gonna marry me? Are you going to marry me, Mister? I want to know right now," right? And instead, you're like, "Yeah, one day in the future, is that something that you're interested in doing?" Right? And so it's more of a general conversation that you're having rather than a specific to us and what's going on with us kind of a conversation. Does that make sense, Mary? Alamo Almond Eyes says, why would you want to waste 6 to 8 months? Well, you're not wasting 6 to 8 months, right? If you're looking at it as a waste, then you're looking at it the wrong way, right? It takes 6 to 8 months to really know if you want to be with someone. It takes 3 months just to like start seeing who most people really are, right? That's what they found, is that for the most part, it takes around 3 months for you to even know if this person is somebody that you can be, that you even know who they are as a human being, right? That's when their mask starts falling down and you start seeing who they really are for the most part, right? And so 6 to 8 months is just this time period where you're learning about each other and you're finding out about each other, right? If you're jumping into things faster than that, you're probably doing it too quickly, right? You're probably potentially getting yourself into really bad situations. And so to you want to take time to get to know people, right? Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to end up getting married to somebody, and you're going to show up and you're going to be like, well, they're a totally different person than who they were. And it's like, yeah, people can fake who they are for a long time. And so you want to see who they actually are. You want to see who they are just in their natural environment. You want to see who they are on a date. You want to see who they are in challenging times, because that is when you see their character, right? You don't see their character in a small period of time. You go on one date. Oh, we went on one date. Let's get married, right? Can that work? Yeah. Does it work most of the time? No, right? So you wanna put the odds in your favor, and the odds in your favor is getting to know somebody over time. And 6 to 8 months is not a lot of time, and you're still getting to know them, right? So you're not wasting it. What you're actually doing is collecting information, and you're learning about who this person is to find out if they're actually the right person for you to date and get married to, right? It's not wasting time. It's not wasting time, Almond Eyes. It's not wasting time. Donnie says, how would a man act if he clearly has deep feelings for me, shows all the 10 signs, and both of us want to be together, but we can't because of strong external factors? How would he act? Well, he would probably be confused and frustrated, and, you'd probably see some hot and cold stuff, because if you can't be together, then it's probably a really bad situation to be in, right? And so you want to look at, why can't we be together, and does this make sense for us to continue doing this or not, right? Does that make sense? Michelle says, excellent advice. Well, thank you. Romania, Samantha says, so is this really live? I don't know. Is this really live, Samantha? Samantha, is this really live? I'm not sure anymore. I'm not sure anymore. Are we live? Does anybody know? Can somebody tell us in the chat? Is this live right now? Are we live? I want to know. Louise says, the problem with this advice is that lots of women are religious, and we are not going to wait 6 months to ask a guy if he sees a future with us. And intercourse is off the table if the man is not sure. Well, okay. So you're not going to wait 6 months to ask a guy if he sees a future with you? That's fine. Do whatever works for you. I'm just giving you advice on what works in most situations. What we've done here is we've looked at like what works and what doesn't in lots of different situations, and what the normal time frames are. And then we categorized it and we said, okay, this is the certain amount of time, right? Can things happen faster? Yes. You can get into a committed relationship in 2 weeks, right? You can get into a committed relationship in 1 week. You can get married from meeting a guy the first day. The odds of that guy not being a good guy for you to be in a relationship with dramatically increase, though, if you don't take time and get to know who he is, right? You don't know how he acts under pressure. You don't know how he acts when he's told no. You don't know, who he is on a regular day-to-day basis. You don't know anything about him, right? And so you need to like learn about him and collect information about him and find out who he is if you want to be with somebody who's going to be a long-term good partner, right? That's all we're doing here is figuring out, is this person a long-term good partner for you to be with? If you want to cut that down and do it in 3 months, be my guest. But he might not be certain about you, right? And things could end up blowing up for you, right? And so that's fine. If you want to do the I'm religious and we're going to do it in this timeline thing, that's totally fine. I don't have a problem with it. I want you to get in the best situation for you. And all I'm here to do is tell you what's worked for other women in the past. And if you want to follow that, that's fine. And if you don't, that's fine too. I'm just here to support you through the entire thing. Does that make sense? Irma says, amen. Thanks, Matthew. You're amazing. Well, you are amazing, Irma. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Alex also says, is this live? Is this live? That's a great question. Irma says, yes, Alex, it's live. Okay, Irma seems to think that this is live. Who else seems to think that this is live? Q says, are we? Brenda says, yes, we're live. It's so funny. You guys are so funny. You guys are so funny. Let's see. All right, so Alex says, I would like to know, when you are online dating, do you have to be the first in making the moves, or you let the others show interest? Guys think I'm pretty, but it never goes further. So that's a great question, Alex, and here's what I suggest that you do, right? So most of the women that are coming to me, and here's my suggestion, is that you take on, in dating, my suggestion is that you take on the traditional female feminine role, right? And I suggest that you do that even if you're like, I'm strong, independent woman, don't take no crap from no man, right? Even if you're that kind of a woman, my suggestion is that you take on the female feminine role, right? Because it gives you the most benefits in dating. It also screens out a lot of bad men. And it also, there's a reason why they did this, dating this way, and things have been this way, right? It works best for women, right? And so here's the thing that you want to know about it, though. And it's something that I call giving him the ball and letting him run with it, right? There's a lot of things, like when you're online dating, right? There's a lot of stuff going on, right? Especially a pretty woman like you, Alex. You probably have a lot of guys that are, constantly liking you and messaging you and matching with you and all that kind of stuff. If I was to wager to guess, I'd say you have a giant lineup of dudes wanting to date you, right? So there's two kind of worlds that are out there. One world is the guys that are messaging you and moving things forward and all that kind of stuff. The second world is the guys that you're going to be messaging and moving things forward and all that kind of stuff. And what I found works best is to treat all the online dating stuff as if it's not real, right? It's not the real world, right? Don't take guys seriously that you talk to online, right? Until that they have proven to you that they are serious about you, don't take them seriously. So that even means the first couple of dates, you don't really take them seriously, right? So with that said, it's okay for you to reach out, for you to ask questions, for you to, ask them if they want to jump on a phone call or, meet up for a coffee or whatever it is that you do in your plan. If anybody wants a really great game plan, you can check out my stuff. I've got some great game plans on how to navigate online dating really, really well. So you want to do that, whatever it is, right? And then you want to give them the ball and let them go, right? And what that means is that maybe you set up the first date, maybe you set up the first phone call, maybe you reach out to them. But at a certain point, you want to stop doing that, because if you're doing it, you're going to set a precedent. We were talking earlier about precedents, where you're like, you do this a bunch, right? And then that's the expected behavior. Like we had a woman who she was going on these dates and she wanted guys to pay for the dates, but not the first date. And so on the first date, she always asked to split. And then after that, guys always expected that they would split, right? Because guys have no idea what's going on. And, if a woman wants to split, a lot of times guys are like, okay, I don't want, in this day and age, they don't want to be disrespectful. So they're like, okay, I'll split whatever, right? And then they expect to split every single time because you haven't communicated anything differently, right? And that's a precedent. And the longer that goes on, the more that you're going to be splitting the costs on dates, right? And so what you want to do is early on, you want to give him the ball and let him run with it, right? You want to communicate what kind of a relationship you ultimately want to have. You want to know what kind of a relationship you want to ultimately have. You want to shine the light on that kind of a relationship and say, yeah, this is the kind of relationship I'm looking for. And then you want to give him the ball and say, run with it. And what he's going to do is one of multiple different things, right? Some guys are going to take that ball and they're going to run with it. Some guys are going to take that ball and they're going to drop it. Some guys are going to take the ball and wander off somewhere with it, right? And so you're getting to see how serious he is about you and whether he's going to make a good partner and all the different things about that, right? Based on his words and his actions after you give him the ball and let him run with it, right? Because a lot of guys probably see you and they're, you're a pretty woman and they're probably, some of them are like, I don't know if she likes me. I don't know, whatever, right? And so they might not be pursuing something. Some guys out there are just confused. And that's fine if they're confused. Let them be confused, right? You're not necessarily looking for a confused guy, but you are letting them know what you're looking for, right? And they can take that ball and they can run with it. And if they do take it and run with it, great. And if they don't, they're just showing that they're not the right guy for you. Does that make sense, Alex? Because you want to do that because it opens things up a lot more to different guys that you wouldn't normally talk to, because the online dating world is so hectic and crazy, right? And so you can give them a little bit of slack very early on in order to let them know that you're interested in them so that they can take that ball and run with it. And if they don't take the ball and run with it, it's not a big deal because there's a bus of men that are they're coming. Every hour there's a new bus that's coming with men on it, and they're going to be coming out, and you're going to give them, you're going to look at them and you go, oh yeah, I'll give you a ball. Oh yeah, I'll give you a ball. No, you, no, you, no, right? And then the ones that take the ball, you get to see what they do with it, and you end up with a guy that is going to treat you well and is set with all the right precedents, and you're not doing everything, right? Because you don't want to do everything because it's not a good way to date, and it's not a good way to be in a relationship. Most of the women that are like, yeah, I want 50-50 or whatever, they don't actually want 50-50, or at least they don't want it long term, because 50-50, what it usually looks like is the woman dominating the man, the woman doing everything in the relationship, right? And that's not what you actually want. What you want is a strong, masculine guy who's going to step up and look at you and say, Alex, I think you're amazing and you're awesome and you're beautiful and I want to be with you, and I'm going to show you through my words and actions that I'm serious about you. And if he doesn't, then he just gets kicked out of the running, right? You want to look at yourself as sacred. You want to look at yourself as a divine being of God that was put on this planet to grow and prosper and, give your gift to the world. And that's the way that you should look at it. Unel says, men are the gatekeepers of relationships. Okay, fair enough. That's one way you can definitely look at it, right? Women are the gatekeepers of sex, men are the gatekeepers of relationships. And if you do look at it from that standpoint, which is a fine standpoint to look at it, then you want the exchange to be even. You want the exchange to be even. Christy says, thank you, Matt. Love your advice. It's been over 15 years. Stayed together for the kids. I like the friends idea. Well, good. Yeah, do that. Do that, Christy. It'll work out for you. I promise. I promise. Samantha says, will you be coming to London? I actually just was in London. I was staying in London over near the Stratford area, East London, Canary Wharf, Stratford kind of area there. And I don't know when I'm coming back to London. Not sure. We'll see. Um, no, I'm not dating anyone. Random people are proposing to me. I mean, that's a good problem to have. Okay, so looks like we are going to wrap things up. So thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you all, and I hope you got a lot out of this. And I will speak with you again soon. So have a great day, evening, night, wherever you are in the world, and I will speak with you